This is my restaurant and bar, Labaredas Brazilian BBQ Bar.
It's a cocktail bar that focuses on South and Latin American flavors and serves Brazilian barbecue inspired dishes. And we bought this place in August of 2019. And I know what you might be thinking, wow, the absolute perfect time to buy a restaurant. Just 6 months before the start of our global shared trauma that was the panoramic. And I honestly haven't really talked too much about my restaurant on any of my social platforms, and I'm gonna try to talk about it without getting too emotional. But let's take it back a little bit. This place did not look like this when we bought it. No, it looked like this. There was a buffet, there was carpet on the floor, there was no bar. When we first opened, I used to make cocktails out of a small little igloo cooler behind our tiny little counter. And not to mention, the concept was vastly different than what it is that we do today, obviously with the buffet and all of that. And so overall, it wasn't really much, but it was a start. In the first 6 months that we owned this place, we realized that a couple of different things. It was old, it was outdated, it wasn't very inviting, and we knew that we were gonna need to make a change if we were gonna make this work. And so 1 month before the end of the world as we knew it, we actually spent money that we didn't even have to renovate the entire bar and restaurant. And we did most of the renovations ourselves. My brother-in-law built our bar, he did a lot of the tile work, he made custom tables, my sister decorated, my now wife helped me do a lot of the artwork in here, including our big mural with our logo, as well as the mural going in towards the restrooms, and we got rid of the disgusting carpet, which was great. And so after quite a lot of work in 2 brutal weeks, we finally reopened to the restaurant of our dreams. It was beautiful, it was built the exact way that we wanted, it was immaculate. All of the details were spot on. And then 3 days later, after we reopened, the order from the governor came to completely shut down. I was 25 years old at the time. I had convinced my family to invest a ton of money into my dreams, my ambitions, a project that I had come up with. But just like that, we were completely closed. And we had no idea if we were gonna be able to reopen, if we'd ever be able to reopen, or if we'd even be able to survive any of this. All I kept thinking to myself was I just ruined my family's lives. I'm Brazilian. My family and I immigrated to the United States when I was 4 years old from Brazil. And we moved to a little town called Framingham, Massachusetts. It's about 25 minutes outside of Boston and 1 town over from the town Malboro where my restaurant is. And there are a ton of Brazilian immigrants in this area. Just to give you an idea, this is what the downtown of Framingham looks like after Brazil wins a World Cup game. My bar, Labaredas, is based in Malboro, Massachusetts, which isn't really the place you might envision a craft cocktail bar way out here in the suburbs. Probably the simplest and sexiest cocktail I've ever come up with, the Malboro Sour. I wanted to create a cocktail that was kind of blending of 2 cultures together. The New York Sour is one of the most popular cocktails that we made at the bar that I used to work at, and I was like, well, how can I turn it into something that is more representative of what's happening here, right? Where there's a big Brazilian population and obviously an American population. We're in America. The idea was to basically use passion fruit along with cachaça to come together in this cocktail. This was one of the first cocktails I ever came up with for the restaurant, and it really showed me that I was kind of on the right path, that I could make this blend of South and Latin American flavors with modern craft cocktail techniques. So the first thing we're gonna do is 3/4 of an ounce of freshly squeezed lemon juice. This cocktail is obviously in the sour family. We're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of passion fruit syrup. This is gonna give a lot of the sweetness for the cocktail, as well as provide a really nice tropical flavor. We're gonna do 1 1/4 ounce of Novo Fogo's Chameleon cachaça. This is a cachaça that was aged for only 1 year in former bourbon barrels. So it's got some of the great elements from a unaged cachaça and some great elements from an aged cachaça. And then we're gonna pair that with 3/4 of an ounce of bourbon. Do 1 dash of Angostura bitters. And then we're just gonna do a touch of Demerara syrup. We're gonna do 1/4 of an ounce. Add ice to our shaker, lock it up, shake it up. Grab our low ball, a beautiful clear ice cube, and we're going to double strain this out. But we're not quite done. We're gonna do a red wine float over the top. You could do a Malbec. I'm actually gonna use a Bonarda, which is another Argentinian wine. And we're just gonna do a nice layer over the top. And there we have the Malboro Sour. so tasty. The passion fruit and the red wine actually combine beautifully, and the bourbon's present, the cachaça is there. Such a killer cocktail and one of our best sellers in the early years. Though my red wine float could have worked a little bit better. My aunt and uncle, they opened the first Brazilian bakery in all of Massachusetts back in '96. And eventually they grew it to have 5 different locations, where my father was one of the GMs of their locations. So when I was younger, for a couple of summers, I would work with my dad every single day. We would go to Restaurant Depot every day, buy all of this stuff for all of the different locations, and then go and deliver it. And then I would hang out with him all throughout the afternoon, and then I'd come home. And eventually my parents decided to take their own chances on the American dream and start a business. And so we moved all the way down to Port St. Lucie, Florida, and opened a Brazilian restaurant in Fort Pierce. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as planned. It was just before the global financial crisis in 2008. And soon we moved back to Massachusetts after it didn't really work out.
And then when I was 18, I actually started working in restaurants myself, and I kind of did every single job you could possibly imagine. I started off as a host, and then I became a server, and then salad boy, dishwasher, line cook for a little bit. And eventually I found my way behind a bar. And originally, bartending was just a way for me to pay for college, because it was the job in the restaurant that would make the most money. My sister was also a bartender, so I thought, oh, this will be great. I'll do this, it'll make some good money, and it'll pay for college. And then there was a new craft cocktail bar that was opening up in my hometown called Bourbon's Kitchen and Cocktails. And I ended up getting a job there, and that's where I fell in love with making craft cocktails and bartending, and really learned what it meant to serve someone and to provide incredible hospitality. And while working there, something sparked inside of me where I thought to myself, wow, I really want to do this. I want to provide incredible hospitality, make killer cocktails, but doing it from the perspective of me and what it means to be a Brazilian American growing up here in Massachusetts. Thanks to my former boss, he actually showed me that this was possible to do this in the suburbs.
I want to do this. I want to create incredible craft cocktails with awesome food and really dope hospitality. But I want to do it with something that is of my background, of my flavor, of showcasing the best parts of my culture to everyone.
And so I went up to my mom, knowing that she had some unfinished business in the restaurant industry, and said, I want to open my own craft cocktail bar and restaurant.
Nutty and amazing. Let's make a Lost Planet. When I was younger, I absolutely adored cashew juice. It has a very unique flavor, and it was such a key flavor from my childhood. You might be thinking to yourself, how do you get juice from a cashew? Do you squeeze it? I'm about to blow your mind. Cashews are the nut that grows at the end of a fruit known as a cashew apple. So the juice is from the apple, obviously. Yeah, crazy, right? So we're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. We're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of cashew juice. We're gonna do 1/4 of an ounce of falernum, and 1/4 of an ounce of our house-made orgeat. And then we are going to do 1.5 ounces of an incredible gin from Argentina made from mate. 2 dashes of tiki bitters. We're just gonna add a couple of cubes to the shaker, not that many, just like 3. And then shake until you stop hearing it click. Let's pour this out. And fill it up with crushed ice, or pebbled ice really. And then we garnish it with a little planet garnish with a slutty cherry in the middle of a lemon wheel. And there we have a Lost Planet. It's so incredible. That gin provides an herbal flavor to it. The cashew is nice and sweet, very unmistakable. The orgeat builds it up beautifully. The falernum helps as well. Lemon provides that nice acidity. It is an incredible cocktail, and one that really showed me that like I can do stuff outside of just Brazilian flavors, right? So I took the concept of a Saturn, which is an incredible tiki cocktail, swapped out the London Dry gin for a herbal gin from Argentina, which is an incredible gin. The cashew juice, which is very popular in Brazil as well as South America, and then created something new. And it was another moment of like, oh my God, this is really cool. And it became some of my friends' like favorite cocktails. Every time they come in, my bartenders know they gotta like prep a ton of these garnishes ahead of time. So yeah, really good. So we were closed completely for about 3 months in 2020. Eventually we were allowed to reopen, only doing takeout, which was just barely enough to keep us paying our bills for a little bit. And then eventually we were able to open a small little patio in the parking lot, it gave us a fighting chance at that point. But it was also kind of ironic and funny. We spent all of this time, money, and effort to redesign this whole place, yet no one could come inside. We actually ended up completely getting rid of our buffet, and we completely pivoted concepts to what we actually always wanted to do, which was focus on small dishes, small plates, and incredible craft cocktails.
But if you want to know the truth, the pandemic was actually a silver lining. The truth was, when we bought this place, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. As much as you might think, oh, I've had all this experience in restaurants, I've done every possible job in a restaurant, you don't actually know what it's like to be dealing with the day in and day out of a restaurant until you're actually there. And so the pandemic being so brutal, it really forced us to reinvent ourselves and to get better. And it was probably the best catalyst we could have hoped for. I think back on it now, and it was the push that we needed to keep reinventing ourselves and to do new things and to try new things and to come in and just work every day trying to make this place the vision of what we wanted it to be. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, and I feel better about it now than I did back then. But I don't think we would have made all of the changes and done the things that we have done since if it weren't for that.
And then I also started this YouTube channel about 4 years ago, roughly. And the reason that I started this channel was actually for two reasons. One, at the time we had literally no money. I needed to find a way to bring some sort of attention to the restaurant indirectly because we couldn't pay for marketing. So I started making cocktail videos, posting 2 a week for a very long time. It became a way for me to learn new skills, learn more about all the different spirits, to hone my craft, to get better at what I do. I eventually started posting on TikTok and then on Instagram, and it started to work because everybody was at home. But everyone's job was to work from home, but my job and my staff's job was to work in a restaurant. And so it was like, how can I scale the unscalable? How can I try to bring some of what I'm doing from my bar and restaurant to people? I didn't really think anything was gonna happen. It was a desperate attempt. I tried my best. It was also kind of a creative escape to try to keep myself sane throughout all of this. A cocktail that's gonna transport you to the beaches of Rio. Let's make a Banana from Ipanema. This cocktail was a departure from the prior cocktail I had made. This is where I didn't really want to use another cocktail as a template to make this one. I really just wanted to play on the flavors. I thought of the name before I came up with the cocktail. And I had a banana liqueur that I had been given from one of my reps, and I wanted to play with it. So I started looking up different flavor pairings with banana, saw cinnamon, cachaça, and then add a little bit of pineapple to make it more tropical, and it's absolutely tasty. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so for this one, we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of Novo Fogo's barrel-aged cachaça. This one spent 2 years in former bourbon barrels. We are gonna do 1 ounce of Giffard's Banana do Brazil, which is a banana liqueur, but it's called Banana do Brazil because it's based off of a Brazilian banana. We're gonna do 3/4 ounce of pineapple. You can do 1/2 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice. Try not to hit yourself in the face with the juicer. We're gonna do 1/2 ounce of honey syrup, which is just 2 parts honey to 1 part water. 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. 1/4 ounce of cinnamon, because with this cocktail I discovered that cinnamon and cachaça are such great flavor buddies, especially aged cachaça. They go incredibly well together. And then we're gonna add some ice. Not too much, you don't need to do too much. And then we're gonna lock it up and shake it up. Grab a nice tall-footed Pilsner glass. We're gonna dump our cocktail right in there and fill with pebbled ice. And then we're just gonna do a little bit of Angostura bitters over the top, probably like 5 dashes or so. Gonna grab 2 pineapple fronds and a dehydrated lime garnish. And there we have the Banana from Ipanema. So good. The banana and the cinnamon combine beautifully well together. The cachaça gives it that nice cachaça flavor. The lime gives it a nice tartness. The honey really balances it all together. And it was such a revelation when I came up with this cocktail. Really loved it, and it's absolutely gorgeous as well. I love it. And so this year marks 5 whole years that we've been open. 5 very long years. And that's incredible to me because it's something like 30% of all restaurants fail within the first year, and something like 60 to 70% of restaurants never make it to their 5-year mark. And yet somehow we're still here.
especially because so many restaurants and businesses did not survive the pandemic. And while we actually haven't celebrated 5 years yet, that'll be in August, it's still incredible to think that we've even gotten to this point.
And while I'm so incredibly proud of how far we've come, I would have never been able to do any of this if it wasn't for my family and my friends. Specifically, my mother, my sister, my brother-in-law, my wife, the rest of my family who have supported, my incredible friends who have supported, and specifically all of the staff that have worked with me over the last 5 years. A lot of them have been with us for a very long time, many, many years, and I've watched some of them grow up. Hell, I've grown up with them as well. And they came in every day to do a job, but to also help me build whatever this weird, crazy dream I have is. But it's also especially due to all of you who have watched any of my videos over the last 4 years, and all of the folks that have come into my bar and restaurant as a result of this crazy thing that I do. I am actually constantly shocked at how many people come into this bar and restaurant that is way off the beaten path for most, just because of some silly videos that I made on the internet. Yet, you guys still come in, and it really, really means a lot to me.
Weirdly enough, this video just kind of turned into a thank you video, and I didn't really mean it for that to happen, but it's been very difficult for me to talk about any of this over the last couple of years, and this is probably the most uncomfortable that I think I've been in a video. And it's actually been amazing to make this video because it's given me the chance to actually reflect on everything that's gone on in the last 5 years and really think about just how proud I am of how far we've come. And truthfully, I don't even think I could imagine being here if I were to put myself back in my shoes right after we renovated this place. And so needless to say, I am incredibly proud of still being here and still being able to try and make cool stuff day in and day out. And if you ever find yourself in Massachusetts, I would love to host you here at my bar and restaurant. Obviously, this is a shameless plug, and I hope you can forgive that. But after all, this is why I started making videos. But I just wanted to share some of this story with you guys, especially because you've been a part of it. So thank you, and thank you to everybody who's made any of this possible. And if you want to know more about the restaurant, if you want me to make more videos about it, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I gotta say one more time, I'm really proud of where we're at.